So we're back with the Ford Ranger, and I'm still working on the transceiver ring from the previous videos, but while I got this all apart, I decided I wanted to fix these cruise control buttons. These Ford Rangers are notorious for those cracking out from the sun, and I figured while I got the rest of this stuff apart, I wanted to change these just in case I needed to get back in here, because I'm not quite sure what to expect. So I just ordered a set off of Amazon, and they were only like 16 or 18 bucks, and I read the reviews on them, and a lot of people said they work fine. One guy had them on there for over 3 years, and he said he was still using them. So I figured for 17 bucks, I was going to go ahead and try it. The first step is you just remove these, and if you're kind of worried about marking up your steering wheel, you could use a nylon deal instead of a screwdriver, but I'm not too worried about it. And there's literally an 8mm screw on both sides. I like these little Milwaukee cordless ratchet, and I've already pulled this one out, this little plug. And I'm doing this one-handed. So, by the way, before I started, I unhooked the negative battery post because we're going to be dealing with this airbag. And I got something going on out in the street there. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I got a big oh, okay. Anyway, here we are. This is what it looks like. Again, just two little 8mm bolts, and here is the airbag. And you definitely want to unhook the negative battery post before you do anything, and actually let it sit for about 5 minutes before you do it. And here's these little, oh, and that one's even broken, you can see. So this is what I'm replacing today with these boogers. So I'll get a little further into this and come back. Just got a little further into this, and just removed that little screw and that screw, and there was a ground wire right on top of that one. That little ear was broke off. And then these are the ground wires that go to each one, and those were really tight. So I ended up having to use a little screwdriver and get in between here and really pry that off. You'll be surprised at how tight those really are. But I got them broke loose. And then as I looked at it, I realized they're all wired together and there's just one plug. So there's quite a bit of fishing around that we're gonna have to do. You can see how this wire runs all the way in through here. And then this one runs all the way underneath this and plugs into there. So I've got that plug pulled out. And I'm just now pulling this off. I'm not totally sure what to expect here. And I may end up having to pull these other, this cover off. And I really don't want to, so I'm going to try really hard to fish this all back in through here. But that's why I left the rest of this off, because I wasn't quite sure in case I need to pull this back off. But worst case scenario, I would have to pull the steering wheel, but I don't think I will. I think I can fish these in and around there. Okay, so I'm a little further into this, and I was thinking I'm going to end up having to pull the steering wheel, but I started looking at it a little closer. And if you look, you can pull this plastic just far enough to where you can fish. You can fish this thing right in behind there, see? Of course, I'll be careful when I go back in with the new one, but so I was able to fish that in back in behind there. And then this side's gonna do the same thing. So just wanted to show you that. And then once I get this out, and I took a picture of this before I took it apart, because you can see that you got to get this in there and get that tucked in behind there. because you know your airbag comes in through here. But yeah, I'll be able to fish them in there. It's gonna take a little time, but I'll get it. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was pretty tricky getting that all back in there. This particular model of switches, if this piece right here that stretches all the way across, if that would have been just maybe an inch or so longer, it would have made it a lot easier. But you can't, you know, it's pretty tight. But I was able to fish all this stuff back in there, and nothing will bind up. You know, there's nothing that's going to interfere. So as long as you get it in there, it may not look pretty, but as long as you get it all back in there, you'll be okay. So I'm getting ready to put my screws in, and then I'll put those put these little brackets back in right here and hook up my 2 little ground wires on each side, and then this little ground wire comes right over here and goes on top of there with a screw. I got it all back in there. Like I said, if they would have made this thing just a little bit longer, it would have been much easier. But again, nothing is going to rub because the whole wheel turns. So all we got to do is put the airbag back in there, and that just plugs right into there, and then the airbag just slides in, and these 2 little bolt holes line up with that one, and we're good to go. So I think that'll do it. Now I just got to finish putting the rest of this back together for the other problem that I had, which was the ignition. But the ignition is fixed, so we're good to go. I think I'm about ready to call this a success. We'll see.